2. Welcome back to WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. No stranger to Cincinnati week here on the backside of Pittsburgh week and Cleveland week. Have a whole tour of the AFC North. This guy will be bringing me some chili from Cincinnati, as he usually does, as well as color commentary on the Bengals Radio Network. And, I can say also friend of Marvin. And life after Marvin. What's life after Marvin like, Dave Lapham? What's going on, my brother?
Well, they're starving for victory, I can tell you that. It's young. There's no question. Zach Taylor's 36 years old. His coaching staff, 21 members deep, biggest coaching staff they've ever had here in Cincinnati. He's extremely young as well. He's got maybe a couple of guys on the staff in their early 50s, and other than that, it's young. So the vibe is energetic, enthusiastic, and all that good stuff. But got to win a football game. I mean, everybody's on board. Everybody's still pulling the rope in the same direction. There's no tug of war going in opposite directions at this point in time. But then at some point in time, we're going to get in the W column.
Well, I mean, you're all young. Nobody's going anywhere. The veteran guys sort of know what's going on. And when I look down at the depth of the team and I see these names, and I know A.J. Green won't be out there, but Andy Dalton will be, and, Joe Mixon and Dunlop and Atkins and, Kirkpatrick, some guys that we've seen before. This is when you're 30 years old and you haven't won and Marvin's gone and you're ready for this new thing, getting on the plane to come to Baltimore before the leaves change and you're 0-5, it's got to be very sobering for the older players and also just for the organization, knowing that change is coming and it's probably gonna be a clean sweep when we get to see next year's team. You're talking about changing the quarter, just everything, because what's happening right now is not working, right?
Yeah, I'd say that, all cards are on the table. I don't think they're taking any off the table. I would think at this point in time, even before the trade deadline, I certainly wouldn't disconnect my phone. I'd answer the phone and see what people are talking about. That's for darn sure. And maybe make a call or two myself just to find out what the market value might be, for guys. You're always looking to improve your football team and not just the back third, the bottom third of your football team, just to improve it any way you possibly can. It's your responsibility to try to determine if you can do that. Now, what you think the value of your assets might be and what other teams think the value is might be two totally different things. And I think that Mike Brown is going to price his players extremely high. So I'm not quite sure anything's going to be done. But it'll be interesting to see how much conversation does unfold and take place before the trade deadline.
It's kind of an interesting turnaround for the Ravens, right? You see these places like Cleveland where they could never win, Cincinnati where they couldn't win before Marvin and then couldn't win enough, even though Marvin won a lot. And you see the change happening. Flacco, Suggs, Weddle, Mosley, all gone. And yet they're still 3-2, still won in Pittsburgh. Didn't look so good against Cleveland 2 weeks ago. Kansas City looked good against Kansas City, not good enough. The Cleveland game would certainly be the outlier in the bunch here. And maybe it's a style make and fight thing with them because certainly they didn't look very good against San Francisco the other night. But to put the stability together to be 3-2, it's really, really hard to. Transition's difficult, and I think you're seeing that there. The Ravens are making it look easier than it is.
Transition is difficult. There's no question, and it's all about habits too. And you try to establish culture. It's hard to establish culture in a period of months. Marvin established, I thought, a very strong culture here, but it took him more than 3 months to do it and get his kind of people in here. And everybody has a checklist for what they're looking for, not just as a football player, but as a human being. And they want to check as many of those boxes as they possibly can, and sometimes that takes a while. And the Bengals are experiencing, the National Football League at its harshest. 25% of the games are determined by a field goal or less, 50% by a touchdown or less. They've lost by a point. They've lost by 4 points. They've lost by 3 points, 3 of their 5 losses. So had fourth quarter leads late in 2 of them and tied in the final 2 minutes of the last defeat, with the Arizona Cardinals. So, they're there to win football games, but they have not found ways to close it. They don't have any Aroldis Chapmans. They have no closers. And other teams are closing games and finishing football games where the Bengals are not. And those kind of habits, those kind of things become habits. Now you're grinding against bad habits. and you have to undo those and establish some good habits. And that might take a little bit of time. We'll see. We'll see. They've come out competitive in most games. I will say, though, the 49ers, they smoked Cleveland. They smoked Cincinnati the same way, doing the same types of things they did. I think San Francisco is legit. I was surprised, though, that, like you said, it's probably a bit of an outlier. I was surprised that they hung 40 points on the Baltimore defense. But I'm looking at the tape and the numbers, and Baltimore's turned into an offensive machine. I mean, they have a three-headed monster at the running back position. Lamar Jackson is a dual threat. The Bengals just got their mouthful of Kyler Murray last week, and it wasn't tasteful. They wanted to try to spit it out and couldn't, had to swallow it. It was bad.
Well, that's what it's designed to do, right? It's designed to really create mismatches that it's not a mismatch on the edge you have to worry about once in a while. It's a mismatch that every play it's a mismatch, right?
Absolutely. And what happened with the Bengals, they went up to Seattle, and that's, I'll tell you what, they beat Seattle up physically. They beat them every way but the scoreboard. They pounded them in first downs, yards. I mean, you name every category. But what happened is they gave up a couple of chunk plays. They gave up a 44-yard touchdown. They've given up big plays all the time in every single game. Some games they've been more cautious than others, depending on how close the contest was. In 3 of their 5 losses, literally, they're one play in each game away from maybe even having a winning record or winning 1 or 2 of them. You're not going to win all 3. You're not going to win every one of those, but you don't necessarily lose every one of them in the NFL either. And they're just not making plays at opportune time. They're not taking advantage of mistakes that the opponent makes, and they're making too many mistakes that the opposition is taking advantage of. It's that simple. But after the Seattle game, when Seattle lined up and said, "We're bigger, badder than you, and we're going to beat you up," and they didn't, San Francisco came in and, man, motion, second motion, counter, misdirection, getting to the edge, and the Bengals got exposed.
All the same things we saw the Browns get exposed for the other night, right?
Yep, and everybody's done it to them since. Everybody has attacked the edges against the Bengals by, misdirection, motion, trying to play with the linebackers and safeties' eyes, make them mistrust their eyes. Ooh, I'm going the wrong way. I got to get back. Oh, I can't get back all the way. I'm a half gap short. Oh, man, they just creased it. That's what's happening to them. Until they get it figured out and stop it, people are going to pound them. They're not setting an edge against anybody. Until they start setting the edge, they're going to have real issues.
Well, we get all the same, components. We go to Seattle next week, fly 3,000 miles. Then Tom Brady's coming to visit us at the beginning of Light City in the beginning of November. So, your hands get full for us after this. The Ravens look at this and say, this is the easiest game we're going to have next couple of weeks. How do they go about it in running the football? Obviously, that's there. Rushing the quarterback has been an issue for the Ravens. Defensively, it's been different. Tony Jefferson's not around. The back end's been different. There have been some pastures and big plays we're familiar with. There is no C.J. Mosley. I mean, the Ravens played Josh Bynes off the street last week. Picked him up on Tuesday, started 40 snaps out of 60 on Sunday in Pittsburgh, right? And played well and picked the ball in the first set of downs. But that's desperation, and it speaks to that. Some thoughts about the offensive line for the Bengals and how you gonna play 12 more weeks like this, Dave? I mean, your background was an offensive lineman. This is tough when you're getting down to third string, fourth string guys.
Oh yeah, I mean they finished last week's game with John Jerry at the left tackle position. That's the 4th option at the left tackle position. Nobody has 4 options at the left tackle position. I think Andre Smith will go. He might not be able to work much this week at practice, but I think he is going to try to go. But he's their 3rd option. I mean, the number 1 draft pick they took out of Alabama, towards Lapham, he didn't even play. It didn't happen in OTAs. He didn't even make training camp. And then Cordy Glenn just won't, he won't get out of concussion protocol. He's been in for a couple of months. There must be some major issue there. He's seeing specialists on his own. So they were going to slide him inside and play the rookie at left tackle. Rookie goes down. Okay, let's move him back out. He goes down. So now you got to kick Andre Smith over there from right tackle to left tackle. Hadn't played much left tackle. So, I mean, it was, that's a major issue. They gave up 8 sacks against the Pittsburgh Steelers. When they played the Arizona Cardinals, they got 2 edge guys. You guys know all about Suggs, and they got Chandler Jones. And they have been controlling games defensively. The Bengals went with 8-man protections. On a 42-yard touchdown pass, they ran a 2-man route to Tyler Boyd and the other receiver. Auden Tate, the 3rd receiver, motioned in. He's 6'5", 200, almost 30 pounds. he protected against Suggs. They double-teamed Suggs with a wide receiver from the widest part of the formation, motioning him in. They had 8 blockers to block 4 people. 7 men in coverage, didn't cover 2 receivers.
Can't stop a 38-year-old version of Suggs, huh? Incredible, right?
What's that?
Can't stop a 38-year-old version of Suggs, right? Incredible, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Suggs, he had 3.5 sacks coming into the game. Forced 3 fumbles, recovered 2 of them. He's been playing well for them. They're trying to spot him, but he still has some of it. But they max protected basically the entire football game because they weren't about to let 8 sacks happen again. They decided to try to man up and go one-on-one in a lot of cases against the Steelers and got smoked. I mean, their offensive line and linebacker core, those are the 2 weak sister positions on the football team, and people that take advantage of both. Opposition offenses are isolating linebackers, and defensive coaches are just scheming up blitz packages and pressure packages against the Bengals O-line because they can't run block well enough.
Dave Lapham has been one of the voices of Cincinnati football for about 34 years. That's 34, am I right?
Yeah, this is number 34. You're right, sir.
I'm guessing right. There you go with the Bengals Radio Network, and a one-time host of the Marvin Lewis Show, now doing it with the new young coach. Tell me about the heart transplant of the team, because a lot of young coaches, as you've pointed out, and you got to move sometime, right? I mean, it was time for Marvin to go. Marvin leaves. It's got to be somebody. Make the case that at 0-5 they still have the right guy here, and that clearly it's a personnel issue. Judging the head coach when you're on your 4th left tackle, I mean, that's harsh. But 0-5's harsh too, and whatever the record's going to be here at the end, it's probably not going to be pretty. There's going to be a lot of changes, and then there will be judgment of this head coach. But, in the early going, some observations about him and what he's trying to do, because certainly managing emotions is a big part of 0-5.
Yeah, he's a steady Eddie guy. I mean, nothing seems to really impact him outwardly. Inwardly, he's probably, just going nuts. He's probably got ulcers. His stomach's probably totally ulcerated. I mean, 45 minutes into the first workout at training camp, A.J. Green goes down with an ankle injury and is yet to return. So, you lose your best player less than an hour into your regime as a coach in the first day of training camp. That's a tough pill to swallow, and he's handled it remarkably well. John Ross goes down. Their top two of their top 3 receivers are down. Tyler Boyd. He's doing a great job, but he becomes the number 1. Everybody's coverage is going to tilt to him. Then they lose Alex Erickson. They only had 4 receivers left in the football game. 2 of them were college free agents, and so I mean they're really struggling. So injury issues obviously are a concern, but the one thing in order to keep the ship balanced, you have to be able to deal with that. And Zach's trying to do everything he can with respect to that. It was interesting after the last game, the loss they just had to the Arizona Cardinals, which gut wrencher. Zach, when he was done, I do a post-game show with him. When he was done with the post-game show with him, he went in the locker room, started going around the players individually and looking them in the eye, shaking their hand, talking to them about what just went down. And he's all about establishing relationships and making sure that, the relationships are the biggest foundation component of the culture. And so I'd never seen a head coach do that, go around the locker room to as many individual players as he possibly could. And, when it's the toughest time, when you just had your heart ripped out of your chest, to have a conversation, a face-to-face dialogue, I thought was unique.
That's sort of the quarterback in him, isn't it? I
think you're right. I think you're right. I do think he's a natural leader type guy, and I think that's a pretty good observation. I do think that the quarterback came out on him for sure.
Dave Lapham is here. The offensive lineman comes out, and the grit and the determination and the see it through and the lunch pail mentality of the Cincinnati Bengals coming in. And, hey, man, always a pleasure to visit with you. I wish we had more Marvin catching up to do. I had Marvin on 2 weeks ago out at Arizona State. We put Brian Billick in the Ring of Honor here 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's incredible, Dave. I go back with you when we had no alumni here, right? Ray Lewis is running around trying to find himself, and Boulware and all those guys. Now they all have purple jackets. Their names are up in the stadium. Billick's name's up in the stadium. We had a homecoming 2 weeks ago. 60 former Ravens, and you're a former player, so you back in that area, even the old Colts that you represented of your. They all came back to this incredible thing to honor Brian Billick 2 weeks ago. Then we went out and got waxed by the Browns, which wasn't a. Jack Del Rio didn't like that as an observant as well,
right.
But it really is. It's a testament to what's been built here, and we're starting to measure that a quarter of a century in, and that's sort of neat. Marvin being a part of that, and I hope that Marvin's appreciated there. And I don't want to wish any ill will on your Bengals or whatnot, but to say a little losing on the back end, maybe they do appreciate him a little bit more. I hope so.
I think Marvin's probably without verbalizing it, and he might be to some people, but I'm sure his thought process is careful what you ask for, Marvin had a great run. He had a hell of a run here, and really that quarter-century run you're talking about in Baltimore is unbelievable. I mean, the history, the tradition of winning, the expectation, the bar being set where it was set. It was something to watch. It really was. I mean, in a very, very short period of time, a bunch of people, made huge contributions. Ozzie Newsome, coaches, players. I mean, everybody, owners, everybody made huge contributions to the success of that franchise. Not to mention you, my man. You're a big part of that as well. But I mean, that's something to hang your hat on, man. That's big time.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, as always. Bring me some chili in here. I'll have some crab cakes waiting for you. We'll get together, play some football on Sunday. Don't beat us, man. Please don't beat us. We're good. We got to go to Seattle. We got Tom Brady. I'm just hanging on, Dave. I'm hanging on around here, man.
I got you. Your fingertips, your grip is starting to fatigue, but you're getting that second bite. You're getting that second grip. I got you.
Well, look, man, I'm not a believer in the Bengals, and certainly after the Mike Tomlin episode over the weekend and the third-string quarterback there, we just can't be sitting around watching the Browns play football in January. I would just find that unacceptable at this point.
I'm in that corner with you, bro.
Yeah, you share a state with them. You pay taxes with them.
Yeah, right.
Appreciate you, Dave. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, Nestor.
There he goes, Dave Lapham from Cincinnati to Columbus and Cleveland and Pittsburgh and the whole, Appalachian triangle, whatever the hell it is. It's not even a triangle. It's more like I don't know, what would that be? Something azoid. Yeah, I don't know. Heck, I don't know. The heck would be fun. I'm doing the math. What the heck? That's why I didn't make geometry. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. Streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel to get you ready for Baltimore Positive this week, as well as Luke in Owings Mills. With any breaking news, it'll come to you first on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford Security Boulevard. Dennis Colatzos will be here from 3 until 5, driving you home on Thursday. That is the SSV on WNST. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net. AM 1570 and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.